Good evening.
Here we are.
And welcome to another exciting edition of Day 4 with the man Frank Scalish on a Sunday from Ohio. I'm going to turn that back on.
Turn it back on?
Yeah, let's go too dark like that.
All right.
Yeah, there, steady.
Okay.
Sunday from Ohio with the man in the man studio, Frank Scalish. You had the honor of being in the BTL studio. Now I get to be in the Day 4 studio. Fantastic.
Yeah, because you were driving right through here on your way back from your derby.
And, I had the Bassmaster Open on Thousand Islands, the St. Lawrence River. And we had mentioned before on some of the Day 4s that there was a chance that we could make something happen. So I gave you a call a couple days ago and I said, hey, I didn't make the final day, unfortunately.
Well, you had the opportunity.
We'll talk a little bit about that because you're a smallmouth guy. I have some questions that I might be able to run past you. We'll talk a little bit about that. And you said, yeah, come on over. Now, one of the cool things was on one of the practice days, I captured some walleye.
Yes, you did.
I had two really good eater walleyes, about 4.5, 5 pounds. And I stuck them in the freezer at Travis Manson Smallmouth Crush's house where I stayed. Yes, I am crashing at everybody's couch. And then I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them. And I called Frank and Frank said, hey,
bring them.
And then you cooked the best walleye that I have ever had. And I've had Canadian shore lunch walleye, and that walleye was fantastic.
Dude, I appreciate it, man. No, yeah, it was good. You brought them down, cleaned. And so all I did was cut them to size, and we made them. And then we decided that we were going to go fish today, which I have a disclaimer to make. I never fish on the weekend.
4 years.
For at least 4 years, I've never.
That's a whole different story. We got to go back to the walleye, though.
All right, let's go back.
Because you talked about your chowder.
Oh, walleye cheek chowder.
Cheek chowder. And I had 4 cheeks, 2 walleye, 2 cheeks per walleye.
Correct.
I believe is how that math works out.
It works out.
Will you share with me and your listeners your fried fish recipe? Because it was, unless it's a secret.
It's not a secret.
Okay, share it with us. The chowder show. You did a chowder show.
I did a show on the walleye cheek chowder.
Share us the fried fish recipe because I've had a lot of fried fish from a lot of different people, and that was the perfect breading for the walleye.
Okay, so the first thing I like to do, and this is good for walleye, perch, and crappie. So actually it's good for any fish, really, that's a friable fish. Like I wouldn't fry salmon or something like that. But for walleye, crappie, perch, bluegill, this is money. So what I do is I take a 50-50 blend of all-purpose flour and Bisquick. And then I add salt, pepper, black pepper, cayenne pepper, and then I add thyme to it. And you add a lot of the seasoning because you think you're adding a lot, but it's not enough. So add a lot of the seasoning to it. And the fish will have just enough bite from the cayenne and the black pepper, but it's not overwhelming. So it flavors it. So it's not overwhelming. And then when I fry them, I'll take them out of the fryer. I put them on a mesh screen, elevated off the countertop.
That was key. I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, with paper towels underneath. So any excess oil drips free from the fish. You don't want it on the breading or it won't stay crispy. And so that's really the big trick. And then I lightly salt it, cut a couple lemon wedges so you can put lemon on however you want to put it on. You can put it on.
2 fish, perfect for the 3 of us.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Your lovely wife, yourself, myself. Now, you did offer me all 4 cheeks. I will say that.
I did. I put him on a little plate like an appetizer and handed him to Matt so he could eat the cheeks. But in his graciousness, he said, no, we'll share them. So we all got a cheek.
I did eat 2 of them.
You did eat 2.
And then you guys each got 1. Here's the, I'm pretty sure that Sean just typed out the recipe. 50-50 flour and Bisquick, salt, black pepper, cayenne, thyme, fry on mesh screen with paper towel under, lightly salt with lemon wedges.
Money, dude.
There it is right there on the screen if you want to try it. And it is. I've tried it all. My go-to, my dad, since I was a little kid, has been using a mixture of shore lunch with some panko crumbs in it, just to lighten it up a little bit, and then add a little bit of salt into that too. But that was a batter that I will be using again. It would work good on crappie too, wouldn't it?
Fabulous. That's how I make my crappie.
We had fried crappie. Did you like my batter that I did?
Yeah, I like that too.
It was totally different though.
It was.
It was heavier. It was much heavier.
Right. It was a little bit thicker. I don't put the fish in eggs or anything. I have them soaking in ice water, which is something I left out. I have them soaking in ice water. Then I take them out and I just let them drip a minute and then throw them in the flour, shake them up. In my mix, shake them up, and then they're ready to fry.
Okay.
But yeah, no, your crappie were good. And then, in fact, the crappie that I took home with me, this is exactly how I made them. Okay. Same way. And dude, they're spectacular.
So Lake Erie, Thousand Islands, smallmouth, the 4 to 6 pounders, you do them the exact same way?
No. Absolutely no.
That was a joke. Listen, we've got we're trying to decide if we're going to do one Thursday or not. This might serve as a day 4, so we are going to get into some stuff. You have some exciting news over on lurenet.com. The Fat Boys
are out. Should I do it? Should I just talk about
it? Because this is what I get to see, folks. I'm at Frank's house. Like, the only thing that I've seen is what all you guys have seen too, which is true, through a computer screen, which is the mad scientist laboratory downstairs, the room with all the hair in it. Like, you walk into the basement,
not human hair.
You walk into the basement, and it's an unfinished basement, but very nice, very clean basement, but it's unfinished, which is key because you have like copper pipes running.
Oh yeah.
And on every string of copper pipes are new, are unreleased, are coming out, are colors that have just been released, and they all have little tags on them. If you look at the Instagram post that I did last night, you can kind of vaguely see some in the background. You gave me the go ahead to post those, but such a cool thing down there. Everything's super organized.
Right.
And like, you might think that Frank puts together boxes of baits for the show, which I kind of thought. No, everything is immaculate, including the Fat Boys box, which I mean, let's just look at what we're going over right here. I mean, look at that Fat Boys box. Those are all Fat Boys. So lurenet.com has some stuff, some exclusives on Fat Boys currently, right?
Right. And this I pulled out of my boat like 5 minutes ago. So LureNet's got the new colors of the Fat Boy in. They're on the website. There's literally 8 or 9 of them. Whoa! So go check them out. Here's Holy Shad. Here's Bama Shad. Then I got Evu. Everybody loves this color. Evu is a good one.
What color?
Evu, extra virgin olive oil.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
And then Wicked is out. It's got that great, but lavender gray back, blue shoulders, chartreuse sides, and a white belly. And then, of course, Ghost Pepper, Diamond Craw. And then Citrus is back. For everybody that wanted citrus, Tropical Shad. It's called Tropical Shad for Norman. It's out. It's back. So don't miss out on that. Also, because iCast, they've got a bunch of iCast specials that they're running right now too. So you want to check that out. And then a little later on, I'll show you the Bank and Creek bundle. The new Bank and Creek bundle came out. It's pretty wicked. So I can do it now, or we can do it later.
Let's do it now.
All right,
we'll get it out now, because we actually talked about in one of the previous day 4s, we talked about the jointed jitterbug.
Right, we were talking,
and I had no clue that was in this week or this month's Bank and Creek bag. You actually got yours. That's
the actual illustration that's coming in the Bank and Creek bundle.
Look, so Frank signed this one, and this one's actually going to my buddy Juice. I said, hey, look, Frank, do you want your Bank and Creek He's like, no, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'll give it to Juice.
All right. So the first thing that popped out to me, because of the illustration, I knew this thing was going to be in there. So that there it's in there. The jointed jitterbug 2.0. That's in there.
So I got to see this feather, the original feather that Frank tied, is hanging up in his basement on a little pegboard. And I'm like, dude, that looks familiar. And I remembered it because of the dots on that wild looking bait. And he goes, yeah, that's the prototype feather for the Jitterbug 2.0.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And I mean, you literally just sat down there tight. So how does that work? They say, hey, we want you to add your touch to this bait.
That's exactly how it went down.
And you sit down, and what's cool is he has like little pieces of paper all over that have like 9 bullet points of everything he wants in it. So you sit down, you fashion it, you send them to them, you send them the formula to tie it, and then they go with it, or they say, try again.
No. Well, yeah, what happens is I'll sit there and go, you're going to use a schlappen feather, Palmer the schlappen feather. You're going to use select saddle hackles, guinea feathers. And then I label all the feathers, and I enclose a sample of what each feather looks like. And then I tie the original. So in this case, I wound up tying I think I tied 15 tail feathers and sent them 15 of them, because I tied them in various colors for the various color bodies in the bait. So each color body has a different color range in feathers. And then I send them to them, and then they have them made. So that's in this month's Bank and Creek. And the other thing is, they have the little mini popper in there.
That's a spinning rod bait, right?
Right, a spinning rod bait.
Like
and
10-pound test braid.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. It's in a custom color. The color is, I can't see. Can you read that? I got to refer to
Special Ops.
The color's Special Ops.
You got your glasses around here somewhere. What? I moved them.
Yeah, they're here.
Oh, okay.
I just saw them. Special Ops color, good color. And then, of course, my favorite, they got a Norman middle end. This is like, one of my go-to baits, especially on inland lakes. And this is Tiger Lavender Shad. It's Tiger Lavender Shad. Lavender Shad is one of my go-to colors, especially on some of the inland smallmouth lakes I got. So this one has some vertical bars on it and a shad spot. Good bait to get. I was surprised when I went through it. They got the little mini Booyah Buzz, which is bad to the bone, especially for the pond guys. This is a money bait. And then the thing that surprised me, I was really excited to see in this bag, was they have the spine craw in Bama Magic, which is one of my all-time favorite colors. They have the thumping dinger.
Mm-hmm. Like a speedworm style.
It's like a speedworm style bait. This thing is absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Super light slip sinker, 16, 32nd. You buzz it on the surface or you swim it through the grass. It's deadly. The other thing that I was really pleased to see was they have Scottsboro slip sinkers in there, 1/4 ouncers, and Pro X hooks.
Which is what we were using today.
Which is what we were actually using today. So it's a really complete kit. Also, they have the 7-inch ribbon tails.
Straight out of 95.
Exactly. Straight out of the 90s. Except this is tequila, and it's one of my favorite ribbon tail colors.
There you go.
So I was really thrilled to see all that.
What do they call this Bank and Creek kit? Because it's an eclectic mix. It's like a Florida/pond mix.
Yeah, I actually like the direction of the Bank and Creek bundles now, because they're giving the Bank and Creek guys more bass options. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited about them, and that's really what I wanted to share about the Bank and Creek bundle. But make sure you check out the Fat Boy colors, because I'm not 100% sure how many are run, and so get them while they're there.
Okay, show some of the colors again. We'll get back into the Fat Boys, because I want to do a little education on this. We talk about the different square bills. You throw square bills a lot. You've done shows on square bills. Tell me the advantage of having, I like to throw flat sides
Yeah.
and just normal ones. What is the advantage of having a big round body on a square bill as opposed to a flat side or just one that's more normal?
Okay, so the Fat Boy, here's one of the appealing things that's not related to the body shape. It's the sound it makes. So the Fat Boy's got this low, dull, thuddy sound to it. That's because it's made out of butyrate. They're also gel coated, so they cast insanely accurate because they're weighty. They have weight to them. That they cast effortlessly and very accurately. So when you're close range target casting, you're not muscling the bait. You're just moving the rod tip and the bait's going and doing what it's supposed to do. The other thing I like about it is because it's rather bulbous, okay, it's called the Fat Boy for a reason, because this bait is like a bulb. And so what happens is it displaces tons of water, which when you're fishing in off-colored water is a fantastic attribute because the bass can feel it through their lateral line in the dirty water. They know it's coming before it gets to them.
Okay.
And so that's why I really like it. The other thing about it is I've thrown tons of square bills. I throw the Bomber Square A, the 05 size. I throw that. I throw the XCS. I throw the 1.5 and the 2.5. And this square bill right here comes through grass, which the other ones don't.
That doesn't seem, it seems like it'd be the opposite.
It's,
like
right.
It wouldn't come through grass
100%.
because it's like a golf ball with hooks.
It is, but it comes through the grass. And it was by accident that it was 100% honestly an accident that I figured this out, because I was out in the winter time and I was catching them jerk baiting, and I was on a very clear grass lake. And so what happened was I got this color, and I still have it. They don't make it anymore, but I have it. It's called jelly bean. And it doesn't look transparent because of the light reflection, but you can see all the hook wear marks on this thing. So the lake I was fishing is a very clear lake. So I was coming out of a canal and I said, well, I wonder, there's so much grass and it's still green. There's no way they're going to hit a square bill. And so I fired the square bill out there, literally the second grass clump. I was trying to steer it around them all. You know how you run a bait through the grass, you steer it around the grass. So I was trying to steer it around all the grass, and a fish flashes out of the grass and chokes on it. And I'm like, what? I mean, it was literally winter. It was like December. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this thing's working in the winter, because it goes against everything you learn. Tight vibration, everything for cold water. And here I got this plug that literally has a wide wobble to it, and it displaces
Jimmy's
tons
saying
of
like
water.
a -1, not like a -1.
No, not like
Not
a -1. This thing dives down where the -1 stays at a certain depth range and moves through the grass. This thing moves through the grass equally as well, but it dives down. So you have to remember that this bait's a diver. It's diving down. And so what happened was I made another cast, and I had a bad cast, and I went over the top of some of the grass clumps. So I went to plow it through the grass, and when I came to the backside of the grass, I just snapped the rod tip, and the bait literally blew right through the grass. It literally blew right through it, and I had no grass on the hook. So I'm like, oh my God. Well, I wound up catching about 6 or 7 on it that day. And I said, this has to be like, maybe the grass is real crispy because it's in the middle of winter. So when the next season came around, when the early summer came right after the post spawn, I was on a lake that had a mixture of big, beautiful blowdowns, shoreline vegetation, the whole 9 yards. And I picked up the Fat Boy, and it came through the grass. If I was running it down the side of a blowdown and there was clumps of grass, it'd blow right through the grass. And I was like, holy smokes. And so I really found out about it by accident. And so now it's my go-to square bill. I put it on. It's the first square bill that I have on, always. That and believe it or not, the Bomber Square A, the 05, because it's a weird. The Square A is a weird bait. We'll get into that another time, but that's very
you could
effective
do a whole
as
Square
well.
A show, couldn't we?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a cool
yeah.
bait. If you're gonna pick up 3 colors of the Fat Boy, which 3 are you picking?
Oh, you're gonna pin me down.
I'm pinning you down.
You're pinning me down.
I'm just saying. I mean, you show them all, but you got to give them a little bit.
Okay, so here's what I'm doing.
Available colors.
Yeah,
there's a couple. There's a couple in there that Frank can't show.
There's a few in here that aren't on the market yet, but they will be soon. So available colors. So Bama shad, I call it the happy accident because I've literally been mauling them on this bait since the day we came out with it, this color, since the day we came out with it. So this is probably my go-to in marginal watercolor. Let's say visibility 2 feet, 3 feet. That's my starting bait. Then as the water, if I'm fishing cleaner water, I go to Evo, extra virgin olive oil. And then I almost grabbed one that's not out yet.
Will it be out?
Yeah, it will be. I'm looking for
a Bob Ross happy accident.
I'm looking for my color. Yeah, okay. So then of course tropical shad, you all know what it is. It's like citrus. So tropical shad, when the water's a little bit off color, I'll go to tropical
so
shad.
You have a shad pattern, kind of a clear translucent pattern, and then kind of a muddy water pattern.
And then of course
this is 4 now. I said 3.
Okay, well we're doing 4.
Oh, you got to do that one.
And then Wicked. Okay, Wicked, my lighting is terrible, but
there you go.
But Wicked has chartreuse sides, white belly, blue shoulders, lavender, pearl gray back. This color will work in off color, dirty water, and clean water. So those would be my 4 go-tos, but it's hard to pin me down, dude, because
I hear you.
Because Harvest Moon, when I'm catching them on Bama shad, I'm also catching them on Harvest Moon. So now I'm talking about 6. So this could go on for a long time.
That's fine.
So the best thing I can tell you is look at the colors, think about the lakes you're fishing, think about the water conditions that you're fishing in, and get your colors geared towards that. But don't be afraid to throw some hot colors in clean water because you'll be surprised, how well they can work for you.
It's good stuff. Anything else? Dang it. There, I said it. I said that's good stuff. I've been trying to work on not saying that.
Good stuff is good stuff, man.
I know, but I say it 3 to 5 times a show for the last 5 years or last 2 years.
Hey, don't change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, I think it's broke.
who yelled at you, dude?
Multiple people.
Someone. I'm monkeying with tackle. I'm trying to put on.
Oh no, that's fine.
I'm anal retentive, so
you also get in the Bacon Creek Bag Booyah sticker.
You do get a booyah.
Let's talk some fishing then. Obviously, Bassmaster Open just concluded on Thousand Islands. A media guy did it. Is the first media guy to win a major tournament.
That's crazy.
Jody White, who obviously runs everything over at MLF, did for FLW before long. He's about my age. He's been doing it about as long as I have. I've become better friends with Jody over the past couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Have always known him. I've always worked with him. Always respected his stuff. Champlain is kind of his home body of water. Very well liked, very well respected by a lot of the anglers on both tours.
That's because he's nice.
And he is nice. Yeah. Now, listen, I heard one guy go, well, yeah, he knows everywhere that everyone's fished over there. That has nothing to do with it. This dude puts in his homework, he busts his ass, and he catches fish wherever he goes. It was phenomenal to see what he did on Thousand Islands. He actually fished an ABA with permission from Bass by himself. He didn't have a co-angler. Mm-hmm. He went in blind on Saturday, which was when the ABA was, because he couldn't be on the water to practice. He bust 27 pounds in winds. Then that was out of Clayton. We were out of Waddington. He then borrows a boat, borrows a boat so he can make the run from Waddington and then outduels Corey Johnston
for the W.
Right. to get the win. I don't believe he made the Bassmaster Classic because he just jackpotted this tournament.
Right, you have to be signed up for at least one complete division,
and he was not signed up for the entire division. So that means that there will be an additional spot that goes down the Elite Series list. But what do you have, like 71? Either 69 or 71 pounds. I think 71 pounds. I look it up right now. But
it was a bag, dude.
It was
a bag.
Really cool to see him. Genuinely a good guy. We are doing a Wednesday evening show. Travis goes live on Monday night, so go watch Travis's show on Monday. And then Wednesday evening, Jody actually is driving home now. Then he has to get on a plane. He has to go to the final MLF Pro Circuit. Or MLF Invitational event,
right.
Where one of the other BTL regulars, Matt Steffen, has a really good chance. He's in second in the Angler of the Year, so follow that to make the BPT. He's going to be covering that, and after he covers that for the day on Wednesday, he'll then get on BTL Wednesday night. But
we tried to have him on today.
Yeah, we're working with some different audio and stuff. Like I said, I wanted to be live from Frank's studio, but Frank, I'm kind of embarrassed with you.
With me?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm a lot disappointed.
What, today?
Yes. No, we'll talk about that. I left.
Oh, gosh. I'm about to get scolded.
Yes, you are. I left Thousand Islands, mouth of Lake Ontario this morning, where I stayed at Travis's house. Big shout out to Travis and his family for letting me stay there for the week. That's a long week, too. I got in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then left. But today's Sunday?
It is.
Yeah, because I stayed at your house last night.
Correct.
And then we fished today, which we'll talk about. But
do we have to?
yeah. There's a lot to learn. There's some lessons in there.
Hey, I learned stuff today.
Okay, good.
All right.
I plug it into the GPS to Frank's house. It says like 6 hours and 2 minutes. I'm like, cool. I'll be there around 2:00. And I think I roll in around 2:30. And Frank's like, dude, how early did you have to get up to be there at 2?
I swear to God, I'm like, what did you get up at 3 and leave?
You are 6 hours from undoubtedly the greatest smallmouth fishery in the history of Earth that is at its peak right now. And you have never driven from your house here to do it because you didn't know how far it was?
No, the last time I was on Thousand Islands was like in 1989.
How is that possible? That you live here and didn't know you were 6 hours? You're 5 hours from Oneida.
Well, because I did the stretch down there, and I was Champlain and then Thousand Islands, and it was a million years ago, and I always thought Champlain was like 11 hours from my house, and that Thousand Islands was farther than Champlain.
Dude, I left at 7:30 or 8.
But it's not.
And I was at your house at 2.
All right,
Do you know how many 5 to 7 pound smallmouth you've left on the table over the past 2 decades?
Way too many.
Is this going to change?
It's got to change.
All right.
Way too many. I have another confession to make too. I live 9 minutes from Lake Erie, and I haven't been smallmouth fishing all that much lately. Well, a lot of it had to do with some of the boat issues last year. So that was a lot of the reason. And now all that's fixed and everything's good. So now I'm starting to venture back out into the deep blue. Deep green.
We did go on the water today. And if you're day 4 regulars, you know that one of the things that Frank likes to talk about is dealing with fishing pressure, especially in northeast Ohio?
Yeah, northeast Ohio.
Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of the reason why so many people have been able to take your tactics and what you do to catch fish and employ them on their home bodies of water. Because in reality, there's not that many people that live in great fishing areas. There's a whole bunch of people that live in tough fishing areas, small bodies of water, high populations, not great fish density. And not everybody can live on a Gunnersville or a Thousand Islands or a Lake Fork or something like that. And I guess I didn't realize it. But one of the things I wanted to do when I talked to you was I said, no pictures, no videos. I said, I want you to take me to some local haunts. I want to see what we've been hearing about for the past couple years. And holy cow.
So he goes, I said, well, I don't fish on the weekends. I haven't fished on a weekend in over 4 years. I never do. And he's like, I don't understand. I go, you will. You know what I mean? You will. I mean, so I chose a lake that I thought would be less popular because there's a bunch of tournament circuits going on now around here. And they choose, I don't want to say better lakes because that's not 100% accurate, but they choose lakes that you could actually, has a little more space to them. You could run around. There's no restrictions. And we got to the ramp this morning.
It is like Lollapalooza in the ramp.
And there's like one parking spot left. And so I said, we got to get that parking spot.
And it was the guy who just pulled out at 7 a.m, which is never good when a guy's pulling a bass boat out at 7 a.m.
No, in fact, there was a lot of guys pulling out at 7 a.m. And so what we found out was, because we started talking to them, they had a tournament, a night tournament that ended at 7 o'clock in the morning. But what we didn't know was that at another ramp, they had a day tournament that started at 6 o'clock in the morning. So one tournament was ending and another one was starting.
And yesterday was beautiful weather, and they probably had a tournament that day before too.
100%. And people,
and it was packed. So these fish had been pressured
for 48 hours.
Practice on Friday,
nonstop.
The entire day Saturday.
Yeah.
Then midnight to 8 a.m. and then 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. 48 hours of nonstop pressure on this small body of water. I counted on average, you could see 14 other bass boats and fishing boats at the same time.
In vicinity.
Within sight at any given time.
And a lot of it was merry-go-round. You get on an area, a guy is in front of you, a guy's behind you, a guy's behind him, and a guy's in front of the other guy.
So we start the morning, and Frank goes, man, I got this spot. I've been catching a few here.
I swear to God.
So we round the corner, and he's like, there's a couple guys on the bank. And he goes, there's someone that I don't know if he's on the juice or not. And he's grumbling under his breath. He goes, I hate this. I don't want to move in on this guy, but maybe he's not on it. So we stop about 100 yards short.
Well, that's where we stopped where I stopped getting bites.
Right.
Is what we did. So I started at the opposite end of the structural element that I wanted to start on, which didn't matter because that was the last place I could get bit on that structural element. And so sure enough, Matt catches one like second cast.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sweet. And that's good. And then one of the guys that was on the bank fishing worked his way out. Another guy on the opposite bank worked his way out.
And then we saw Doug catch a couple.
But Doug was on the deal. And we were coming there, and he put a couple in the boat. So I didn't want to get close. I felt bad, but I mean, there's nowhere to, like when I say nowhere to fish, I'm telling you there was nowhere to fish. So I stayed away from him and started fishing. And then he goes, "Hey, Frank, is that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
He goes, I just called my buddy on the phone. I said, I think Frank Scalish just moved in on me.
True. It's very true. But it was so that's how the morning started. And we caught fish, but it was way tougher than it normally is. And getting the giant ones was a little bit problematic because I just think there was so much traffic over the last 3 days that it was really tough to get the big ones. Now, we finessed it up. I did catch some on the normal stuff that I throw, but we had to finesse it up to keep consistent throughout the day. So
one of the things that I thought was interesting was you knew where the fish should be. You knew where the fish lived. You spent a lot of time on folks. Frank is moving into the world of forward-facing sonar, but still it was interesting to see how much he heavily relied on 2D to position the boat. But then when we got bit, we garnered several other bites by really slowing down and making direct casts, which I thought was key.
Right. So the weird thing was for me, because I'm not as good, I'm not even close to as good as forward facing as Matt is. So what was freaking me out was I kept losing my bearings on the structure. I knew where I needed to be casting, and I knew what I needed to cast to, but I was having a really difficult time with forward facing. So I kept knocking it back to 2D. Soon as I went on 2D, I'm like, damn it, I'm too far in, and would have to,
just based on depth and what you're seeing on the 2D, or whether you're seeing clumps of vegetation, whether you're seeing rock, whether you're basing it on your depth. So you know what you wanted to see, clean bottom and a specific depth.
Correct.
Which meant that you were a cast length away from where you wanted to.
Exactly. So what happens with me, because I fish off of 2D so much, that what happens to me is I have recognizable things on the bottom that I see. It could be right at the break line. It could be where the break line goes and flattens out, and then I know I got to stay on the flat side and cast up to the break. But with forward facing, you scan it and it goes up on forward facing. Okay, so what I'm not used to is, you have to realize something. On 2D, right where the 2D screen comes out is under the boat, but it's on the opposite side of the graph. With forward facing, right where you see under the boat is on the opposite side of the screen. And
I never thought about that, because the screen rolls like this, but the forward facing is like a TV. So what's that? So you're looking at that,
right,
going, where the heck am I?
Exactly.
Because you've been doing that for 30 years.
Exactly. So I'm looking.
I see.
I'm crisscrossing the screen on forward facing, and I'm like, wait a minute. And so then I jump back down to 2D and go, oh yeah, there I go. And then I put it back on forward facing. So mentally, I have to look at the screen from left to out for forward facing instead of from right to left with my locator, my 2D sonar. So that's where my trouble was coming in. And I kept saying, why am I always getting up on top of this stuff? And that's where it was coming into play. But then, so Matt calmed me down, slow me down, show me some tricks about, what I'm looking at.
I wouldn't say I showed you many tricks.
Just basically told me, okay, where do you want to be? Here's what it looks like. And then I go, oh, okay, I got it. And so it's taken a little while for me to dial in on it. So, but I mean, we'll get there. Eventually we'll get there.
The one thing that I thought was interesting was how much, so this fishery had a lot of different, can we say what we were fishing? Is that okay?
Lure wise?
No, structure wise.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We're fishing grass.
Yeah. We're fishing
grass, but there's 4 or 5 different types of grass in this fishery. And Frank is really key in what I noticed, because when we fished before, we fished for crappie in the wintertime. Like, this was the first time we bass fished together.
Right. And the crappie were in the middle of the water column.
Yeah. Or at the top of the water column, or just suspended out in the middle of nowhere. But what I thought was interesting was, even though, you had the screen, you had the 2D, you had the forward facing, you relied so much on feel.
Oh yeah.
With your jig, with your Ned, to determine what type of grass you were in, whether it was good grass, how you needed to fish it, where you were in it. And that was key to me, was how you're able to differentiate what you were in just based on how it reacted to your bait.
Correct. So I knew when the jig or the Ned dinger would come through, if the grass was the right type of grass, it would climb over it or buffs through it without hanging up really bad. If it was the wrong kind of grass, your rod would get real heavy, real mushy, and it was have a hard time getting it through, and you'd have to really snatch it to get it through. So that was the wrong kind of grass. And then, of course, they were showing a preference to a specific type of vegetation. So we had to make sure that that's what we were in. So by casting and feeling with the bait, I would be like, this is the wrong grass. Oh, the right grass is to the
Mhm.
left. And so then we would know, and we would know what type of grass we were.
And we got multiple bites in the areas that had the right type of grass.
Absolutely. And so it was kind of wild. I mean, we caught some power fishing and we caught most of them finesse fishing. It was just the nature of the day. I mean, we literally fished probably every spot except one behind 3 to 5 guys.
You did a show where you talked about the Ned Dinger and fishing it in the grass.
Yes.
I had never done that before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never. Had never fished the Ned Dinger in the grass, kind of like a jig head worm, like that Minnesota style.
Right.
It was last night when I was pulling out some of my rods, I was like, which one for the Ned, which one for this? And you said, "Ooh, take that 7.4 medium heavy for the Ned."
Right.
Which I was like, okay, because I knew you said we were throwing the 10th ounce Neds. And it was really cool to be able to get that Ned down in the grass, feel it like you talked about on the show, snatch it out of the grass, and then feel that bite on it. And I caught probably 6 or 7 doing it like that.
Absolutely. And that's the fun part about it, is because it's just time, it's experience and time, really, is all it is. And it was a very, I'll be honest with you, it was a very it was frustrating fishing, but the day was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really a good day. It was frustrating fishing, but we were just out to catch some fish, and so it was good.
Checking the audio, making sure we're good.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
What's the time delay?
Not very much at all.
Excellent.
Not very much at all. I do want to mention anything else about today's fishing that you wanted to talk about?
Unless you did.
Not particularly. I enjoyed it. You were so shockingly calm fishing around people, but also at the same time, there were undertones of mild annoyance.
Oh, dude.
Not at anybody or anything in particular, just at the
right.
I mean, you got dogs on kayaks, dogs on paddle boards.
I know.
People riding dogs, dogs riding people.
Right. Jumping in the water, paddle boarding and kayaking next to you, and the dog splashing, and they're splashing the dog. Once we got there, I knew what we were in for, but once we got there, I'm like, well, we're here. We're just going to have to just fish and not worry about it. So I wasn't pressuring myself to say, hey, we got to catch, 29 pounds today because you can. I was like, well, we'll just fish behind people and we'll see what we can catch. And if we get our rods bent, good.
Mm-hmm. Junior saying that the only reason you were somewhat calm today is because I was there.
That's a fact.
Is it really?
That's such a fact.
What would you have done?
Honestly, today I would have probably left.
Yeah.
I would have just said, the hell with this.
Yeah.
I'm going. I can't even lie about it. No, I get goofy. I just like to fish by myself. Not without someone in the boat with me. I just mean
the area.
I like to be by alone in an area, because then I could take my time to figure out better ways to catch bigger bass, because I'm not worried about someone piling in there and getting in front of me or whatever. And then because when I slow down and say, okay, if I'm catching 2-pounders, how do I catch 4-pounders? And then I can start experimenting. But when it's a rat race on the lake and everybody's jumping to and fro, you just got to catch what you can catch when you can catch it. And that's really,
Yeah. So people who deal with this, then one of the things I noticed was you had some obvious spots that popped out on the map, but you also had some sneaky spots that were a little bit different. So there's a lot of listeners that probably have to deal with this on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
What you just kind of talked about are some of the little tips and tricks to kind of get around it. But you also said that you spent a lot of time on this particular body of water, graphing and fishing and finding things that were a little bit off the beaten path.
Correct.
And all of those spots, you're able to roll up on and fish. And we plucked a couple nice fish off of those spots, which is key, because if you just go on the weekend, which is when most people are able to fish, and fish the community holes, you're always going to be banging boats. But even if you can just fish the weekend, it might be worth, from what I saw today, take a Saturday and go to the crap section of the lake, graph it out, look for it, try to find something, because then it'll pay off in the next 3 months.
Right. And so I do a lot of, whenever I'm on any body of water, I do a lot of work looking. I went to this one lake I was never on before, about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was right before I got my boat, because I took Frankie's boat. So I took my son's boat up there, and he goes, "Oh, Dad, I'll leave all my equipment in. You don't have to load your stuff in it." I go, "Don't bother." He's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm not fishing. I'm going graphing. I'm going to graph the entire day." And I went out there and spent the whole day just graphing, doing nothing but graphing. So I called Frankie. I said, "We're going to wreck him on this lake, dude." He goes, "When do you want to go?" I go, "When can you go?" He goes, "How about a couple of days?" I said, "Yeah, we're on." We went there and we smoldered them. And it was stuff that I had found just by doing nothing but just graphing, because I've never was on the lake in my life. And so it's really important to do the work. Like here, look, you at 1,000 Islands did massive work, because you showed me your GPS. Massive amounts of work you did.
And I got help. What combined with a lot of work.
All right. So you got help with a lot of work, but you covered immense amounts of water. You checked so much stuff that it was actually impressive. Okay. So theoretically, one bite that you lost cost you fishing today.
Yesterday.
You
could look at it that way, or you could look at it as, I didn't find enough quality fish to make up for a lost bite.
Yeah, except, dude, it was over 6 pounds.
Yeah.
So you want to tell them how you lost it, so they don't?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the 1,000 Islands, I guess. Dude, I thought I finished 24th. I guess I finished 23rd.
There you go.
Between 23rd and 24th, one of the two.
Okay.
Good event. I mean, I'm from Oklahoma. People were making a joke about how I'm homeless now, because I was at, I was at Smallmouth Crush, and then I was at Kurt Dove's camp and everything. I've been on the road. It's the 23rd now. I've been on the road since the end of June.
Traveling
24 days in a row.
Oh yeah.
And it's just cool to have friends all across the country that you can crash at, and then vice versa when they come through town to have a place they can crash at too. Where was I going with this?
The fish.
Oh, yeah. But no, I'm not homeless. So yeah, I got to 1,000 Islands, and I had just the weirdest experience on losing a fish. Like, there's a one thing if you jump it off, or if you break it off, or something like that.
Right.
But 2 years ago, when I finished 28th, I fished 100. I fished in 100% tournament. I fished a perfect tournament. I had 40 pounds. Or 41.4, I think, for 2 days.
With no loss.
I literally, everything that bit I caught. I had 41 pounds, 4 ounces of bites in my best 10 and landed them. This time on day one, I had like a 4 3/4 jump off right at the boat on day one and weighed in a 290. That's fine. It's going to happen.
Right.
But on day two, I'm on a big fish spot, and I pull the bait over a rock, throwing 12-pound test, which is heavy on a spinning rod. Line goes slack, typical sign of a big one. Reel into it, immediately think it's a walleye, another typical sign of a big one. And then you feel don't, but it's the big head shakes, not the
right. It's not the surgy.
So I said, dude, this is a bass, and I'm super mellow with it. It comes up out of deep water, 45 plus foot. And when those big ones come up, they stay down. This one never came up, and it came up real tan. It's like that wide across the top, one of those.
It's like
one of those megalodons. And I'm thinking, my co-angler goes, "Holy cow!" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's big fish." And I'm just bringing them in, and I sit down in the driver's seat, because we can't use nets. And I put my rod in one hand, and I go to scoop with the other hand, and all of a sudden it just goes dink. And now the fish is under or above my hand, no longer attached to my rod and reel.
But you see your lure in his mouth.
No, I saw it right when I went like this. This all happened in one motion. The reason I know this is because I asked my co-angler what the hell happened. Next thing I know, I'm, shoulder deep in the water, and I've got this thing in my hands. I've got it, and it slips out, and it kind of hovers, and then it just disappears. And I came up and I said, how the hell did that thing come off? I said, I freaking had him hooked. And my co said, what do you mean? He said, it didn't come off. He goes, your line broke. And I said, I wasn't putting any pressure on it. He goes, dude, I watched it. Your line broke, and then you threw your rod and reel in the water, and then you dove in after it. And I look around, rod and reel nowhere to be found. I said, I did what? He goes, yeah, you just tossed it over your shoulder and went in after the fish. I go, where is it? He goes, it's like a quarter mile down the river by now. So I lost my rod and reel. Yeah. I lost a 6 freaking pounder. And I've got a hell of a story to tell. But right. and I weighed in a 330 on Friday. But I mean, I'm sure what happened is that spot had zebra mussels on it. I was fishing the side of the hump, and I'm sure when I got it stuck and I popped it up over zebra mussel, and then as soon as that line went out of the water, it that direct, and and if another half a second, and that fish is in the boat. But that happened to a lot of people. There were a lot of guys who lost fish, and I'm not so sure. Mine I feel like was just bad luck, but I think there were a lot of the fish that were really post-spawny. They'd been on the beds the last couple of weeks. They weren't this week, and I think you had a lot of nippers. You didn't have fish that were super committing, so you had a lot of fish that were just coming up and nipping. You're hooking them 2 mile an hour current, 5+ pound smallmouth, and that's a recipe for losing them. But all in all, I'm disappointed with where I finished. I thought I was on fish for a top 10, but top 25 and break even. Oh, that's where I was going with that. Anytime you get a check when you're traveling across the country and you're on the road, I got to fish Thousand Islands for 7 days for free. I didn't make any money with the $1,800, and I had to get $100 worth of gas every day on the water and all that. Yeah, but it was.
But it was good.
I wish we went back there every year.
You might.
What schedule do you want to be fishing the Northerns next year, Frank? Would you be cool with Thousand Islands since it's only 6 hours away?
Yeah, Thousand Islands, Champlain.
Oneida.
Norman would be fine. Thousand Islands, Champlain, Norman would be fine.
No James River.
No. It's not that I don't like the James River, but I don't like the James River.
Mm-hmm.
That place has been so bad to me for nothing more than my error, to be honest with you. I misjudged the tide. I did all kinds of bad things. I was on them good enough to do really well there, and I made a bad decision in the morning, and it cost me the entire event.
Why do you think tournament guys make decisions that they immediately know in hindsight are wrong decisions, but continue to go make that wrong decision?
Well,
have you noticed that?
Yeah, but I don't continuously make it. I did make it.
Well, no, like that one, like you look back on it and go, that was so stupid. How often do you, at least I do that a lot.
It was here. I'll tell you guys what happened. I had a very solid main river pattern going. It was so solid and so predictable. It was ridiculous, but I needed an outgoing tide. And when we blasted off, the tide wasn't coming out just yet. So I had found a pretty good distance from where I wanted to be fishing. I had found a backwater area that I slid in there on a high tide. And I absolutely plastered them on buzzbaits and spinnerbaits back there. And it was way up. Like I ran and way up. And
like past the chick?
No, it wasn't. It was way up the backwater that I was on. And I was very close to the chicks.
Okay.
So I ran up there, and I knew if I got up there, I was going to be by myself. I knew I only needed 20 minutes up there, and then I'll have a limit before I go.
It's one of those things where if you get there, you catch them.
Yeah. Easy peasy. Well, here's where I made the mistake. The night before the tournament, we had some like record deluge of rain come down. I wasn't thinking about water clarity and runoff. I'm thinking tide. Water comes up, water goes down. It's always moving. It's always moving. You know what I mean? I'm not going to run into this.
You don't think it's going to affect it that much?
I don't think it's going to make enough of a difference to hurt me. So I made the choice to run up there. When I got up there, it was pure, filthy, rolling mud. And in hindsight, what I normally would have done was turned around and ran the hell out and went to my stuff. I wouldn't even have made a cast. I would have rolled. But I thought, well, they're eating a buzzbait. God, the dirty water. They'll be right underneath the surface. I'll smash them. So I go down slow rolling a buzzbait. I mean, throwing the buzzbait and slow rolling a spinnerbait. And I caught one. So I'm like, okay, they're relocating. I got to get farther back. Well, I farther backed myself. And as soon as I started feeling the water movement, the tide was coming out where I was at, I knew I was screwed on the rest of the river. Because by the time I got to my stuff, the tide was gone. And half the places I had fish, I couldn't get my boat to them. Like literally, I couldn't even get close enough to make a cast. And so, I wound up in a bad way. And I just, it was my fault. I have no one to blame but myself, because I should have known in 2 seconds flat to turn around and leave it. And I didn't. I tried to make something work. And honestly, those weren't my best quality fish. I mean, they were decent fish, but they weren't my best quality. So it was my fault. I mean, you always go to your good fish first, no matter what.
Speaking of something else that was your fault, you told the greatest Frank Scalish story that I've ever heard. And you haven't even told it to the listeners. I think we save it for next week's show.
Yeah, you're going to have to remind me. Oh, you did? I know what. Yeah.
Dude, it's a legend. It's a 20-minute story.
Oh, it's a story and a half.
It is. I think we need to do, you like to tell stories, but I think we need to just do like a story time show.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that story's ludicrous.
I mean, it involves danger. It involves bribery.
2 tournaments.
It involves 2 tournaments.
Anger.
Co-angler.
Anger.
More anger. It involves bad luck.
Very bad luck.
You still made a little bit of money out of the deal, right?
No.
I thought you did the split. The split.
Oh, yeah, Troy. Yeah, because of my buddy. Yeah, I made a little money on it. Yeah.
But you went from some top 10 locks to,
man,
will I ever boat again?
Right. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I got a story. We're gonna do it. We'll do it on a. We're gonna do it on a.
Rick says yes on the shore stove. Frank wants to know: does it involve true love?
No. No, it absolutely does not involve.
Eric wants you to tell it now.
No,
here's the deal, Eric. I've got a busy couple days coming up. My dad is actually driving up. If you guys know Michael Simonton, were you on the Elite Series when Michael competed?
I don't know.
He had the Crown battery.
I don't know if I was or not, but
he's from Ohio.
He's from here. He's a guide on the Big Lake. He's a good dude, man.
He has nothing to do with actually the show started. Steve, he said Uncle Frank seems to get angry about co-anglers a lot. The story was the genesis because Frank was talking about
an incident.
Frank was talking about how he was still good friends with his co-angler from this incident because the co-angler was such a solid dude.
That's right.
And then it led him to that story because I was talking about how I practiced with one of my co-anglers from 2 years ago.
That's right.
He got second in the tournament and how much fun I had fish. I fished with two really good guys in practice and really enjoyed the heck out of it.
Oh, yeah. My buddy Warren and I we became.
And he was with you during this legendary story. I mean, dude, it's an A1 Frank Scalish story.
Yeah, he was with me through the whole thing, never left my side until everything was good and he knew that everything was safe and going to be okay. We became super, super great friends.
Yeah.
After that, he's one of the best guys I've met in a long time on tour. And so yeah, see, I don't have an issue with non-boaters. Contrary
Just
to what,
the dumb one.
Yeah, contrary to what what.
Heck, I stood right on the front deck with you and crossed your line a couple times today.
And what did I do? I'll reel. I'll get out.
You said get in the back.
Get in the back, bitch.
No, we had a great time on the water, but no, I'm going out perch fishing on Lake Erie, yellow perch fishing the next 2 days with my dad, with Michael Simonton, who is a bass guide, and he's getting in a little bit of perch guiding here on Lake Erie. But I've been friends with him forever and have had this plan since January.
Right.
And then I have a media event up in Michigan that I'm going to after that. So that's what we're going to do. And then Frank has thawed out some. What part of the deer is it?
We're having deer steaks.
We're having deer steaks tonight. And then I have to go drop my boat off at Michael Simonton's house and then
go get your dad or meet your dad.
And then meet my dad. And then the road trip continues.
100%. So I don't hate my co-anglers. No. I'm actually friends with quite a few of them.
Yeah. We had great interactions on the water today.
I can't stand you as a co-angler.
I'm kidding. Ray's got to be nice with me because he knows I'm the ticket to a 3-pound crappie.
That's right.
He's like, I can't stand this guy. I want a 3-pound crappie so damn bad.
I do. I gotta break 3 pounds. I'm very close, but I'm not legitimately over 3. Mm-hmm. I'm right smoking the line, but I'm not over 3, and I gotta get over 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're going to get the deer steaks on. Like I said, a lot of viewers, a lot of watchers on for a special edition 5 p.m. Sunday of day 4 with Frank Scalish. If you're trying to title this one, I'd call it a special edition / Fat Boy show.
Yeah, let's call it that.
Let's call it that. I'll have to go back and see what number I need to title this because we're going to count this as an official day 4 that's going to go.
Yeah, we have to count it.
New colors coming out. A lot of cool new colors coming out.
Is
that like in the next couple weeks, months, 6 months? Like how long before you can show some of these new colors that I was able to get a sneak peek at?
Oh, they're being, well, 3 of them are coming out now. And you'll see them in DD22s. The other ones are going to be out next year, and they should be in the line.
I don't want to speak out of turn here, but Doug, our guy from the water today, he said, "Heck yeah, I made the show." You got a drawing you could shoot Doug, so you could put it on his wall.
I think we could do something.
You think we could do something for Doug like that?
Doug, DM me your address, dude.
Yeah, well, send it to. Doug. Doug has Instagram, I'm sure.
Yeah, just DM me your address.
Or you can send your address to matt@basszone.com, and I'll send it to Frank, and Frank will get you something.
Yeah, I'll do something.
Like you kind of owe him because you kind of rolled up on him today, you know?
Hey, allegedly. I did kind of encroach.
It wasn't bad. I really didn't think it was bad. All right, this has been another edition of day 4. The place is as cool as it looks. Like the studio, it's like a little corner. I will say that the trophies and stuff, God, their trophies used to be so much like bigger and cool. Like that winning trophy that you have here.
Try picking that up. Be careful, it's on.
I don't want to. I'm not picking up a trophy until I win it.
Yeah, don't. It's bad
Any
luck.
trophy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's bad luck.
Like I'll touch it, but like I won't touch a Stanley Cup, even though I'll never win a Stanley Cup.
You can't take a bass tournament trophy and elevate it.
Yeah.
If you didn't win it.
So I had a broken Elite Series trophy. I gave it to my buddy. I said, I don't want this in the house.
Perfect. That's perfect.
It just seems like juju.
It is, man. It's bad. It's bad.
All right, we're going to go eat deer steak, and then I'm going to go catch some perch. Stay tuned to BassZone.com for next week's schedule. Like I said, Wednesday night, Jody White, winner of the most recent Bassmaster Open on Thousand Islands, will be there. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Frank, thanks for an awesome day on the water. Thanks for the hospitality.
Money, dude.
Awesome to do a show in the studio, and we will talk to everybody later. See ya.